I'm Remko van Leeuwen and I'm Strategic Advisor, that's the name on my business card, at Aidsfonds. We're an NGO in the Netherlands and we care for people with HIV and have projects for them, which are implementation projects and research projects.
So Remko, we just heard a panel and we had a talk here about what has been happening in terms of funding. For those who don't understand or know, what has been happening in terms of funding in HIV for the last year or so?
Yeah, we talked here a lot about the current crisis in funding for HIV projects. There was a lot of talk about funding issues around development aid. And I think the sad news is that this is a reality that we have to live with. And it is causing millions of lives, and it probably will cause tens of millions of people that will be infected with viruses like HIV, unnecessary. But at the same time, it is a political reality that we have to live with. I was criticized as a citizen of the Netherlands that my government makes a 70-80% cut in the different fundings that we have for development assistance. And at the same time, I think we have to come to terms with the fact that that is a given. It's not going to get better, I think, is my personal opinion, in the next couple of years. So we talked and discussed a bit about, what are sort of mitigation measures to deal with that.
You actually used the term, the New World Order. What do you mean by that?
Yeah, I also mentioned that, what we see happening around it, at least for me, is not unexpected. I think we're at the middle of a system change, and I called it moving to a new world order. Basically, I think what a lot of people see as something that is linked to a very bad actor in the United States called Donald Trump is actually far more systematic and have to do with things around our security in Europe, for example, that have to do with the fact that, we have a lot of internal crises that we need to solve, and that will cost a lot of money. And at the same time, that money is more scarce and scarce. So I think it's predictable that our emphasis will not be on putting that funding in development assistance. We'll put that into solving our energy crisis or do things around things that, we probably don't agree with in this audience here, but that happens in the reality of a conservative political wind that is actually circulating in Europe at the moment.
I'm thinking if we take Sweden and the Netherlands, for example, we have a fair grasp of control of the HIV in our countries, I would say, even though we have things that we can obviously do better. But why do these things matters when we're actually quite good at what we're doing already?
I always tell people, if they ask me that question, and I'm asked that question a lot, infections don't stop at national borders. So yes, it's true that we have made tremendous progress in the Netherlands and Sweden. While we're not there yet, we're, I think, certainly compared to the rest of the world, in a very comfortable position, whereas most people at least the people that have a legal status, are entitled to treatment. We do have test facilities that are quite accessible to people. But at the same time, we know that, if we only care for what's happening within our borders, the pathogens will reach us via, the outside borders. And that's not linked to immigration per se. I think that's also a thought that a lot of people have. I think it's not true. It's just the fact that, if you want to control infectious diseases, you have to have a global approach. And that means that if you do well in your own country, that's an excellent thing, but you also need to make sure that you act in other areas in the world, because if you don't, then you put yourself at risk.
Thank you so much.
It was a pleasure.